Oh, all right. What's happening? Oh, we are about to kick things off. As you can see, we are still getting set up here. So if you guys happen to be here live, go ahead, give us a hashtag live in the chat. Make sure the chat is flowing for us all
We got
and
Chris,
that
Kevin, and Tyson
y'all
so far.
can
What's up, gents?
communicate with us. Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is officially the 31st of July,
Whew,
2024. Dave, how you feeling today,
man,
man?
feeling feeling excited. Feeling excited for today, the rest of the week, and the rest of the year. We got what, five full months left in 2024, which is crazy to think about, but that's so much time too. So I'm stoked. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling very, very marketable.
Hell yeah. I love to hear that. I'm feeling pretty good too, dude. We got it's not official yet, but sometimes when you know. But a new deal closed for 25K. So we're going to be doing 3 core video assets up front for this client, helping them implement them, helping them set up a paid ad campaign and just generate more traffic to their website for this specific product they're selling. So it's a really cool product. It turns salt water into fresh water on boats, and it's like this mobile portable unit. So they've
That's
paid a
sick.
ton in the past for video, never seen the results. I actually started talking to them about 2 years ago, and just at the time, same deal, went in to be like, look, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it. We need budget. Um, and it took some time just for them to get things in place. They're ready. And I think it's going to be a good, like, 6 figure plus retainer throughout the year. Because not only
Dude,
is it this, it's like once this is done, which usually takes about 3 months, we'll be launching into ongoing paid ads as well as a content retainer. So that's usually 7, 8 grand retainer for us. One client makes life easy, man. You get 4 or 5
yeah.
of those in the door. Guys, that's
You're
where my cash flow has been coming from for the last several years. It's just a cash flow machine. Imagine if I left all the video business stuff behind to only focus on the big, shiny next object, which is coaching. Like, you wouldn't be making 10K to do nothing. I didn't even close the deal. I haven't even talked to the client, honestly.
that's dude, I think that's like such a change of perspective. I think from when I think back to when I was first getting into like this, or even when I was like, I want to do more, I want to sell more, I want to sell for higher rates, I want to like all that. That thought of like, how the hell do you even have those conversations with those type
Yep.
of people? You said you started talking to them 2 months ago, or not, sorry, two
two
years
years
ago.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And then now, it's become something here. I think for a lot of people, it's like, where do you even begin to start those conversations? Which is, if that is a thought that you're having, whether you're watching this hashtag live or hashtag replay, uh, good news. We're gonna dive into some of that today because this is gonna be all about savage marketing, the way
Yep.
that you
Yep.
can get your business in front of people, the way you can have the conversations with the right people to start closing deals like that, to get in that ballpark, move up to the big leagues. So, Ceebs, why don't you kind of just talk a little bit about like
Yeah.
what we're heading
Absolutely.
into here?
Well, first off, we got off to a little rocky start here. I want to welcome anyone who has not been on one of these calls before. My name is Ceebz. This is my boy Dave. We've been running video production companies for the last 8, 9 years now, probably, and been doing coaching for several years as well, just helping other business owners who are looking to scale online and add additional revenue to their business. So the way these calls work is every week at Wednesdays at 2 o'clock, we show up to answer your questions. You can come on live and join us, or we are posting the replays, which you may be live with us now or watching a replay. So with that being said, now that we've done a proper introduction, um, yeah, so this is something, like I said, that came up a while ago. Was a bigger company. Like they're selling 20, 30, $40,000 water purification systems for yachts. Okay. So when I first started talking to them, they had these awesome freaking animated breakdown videos. And I was like, well, why are we here? You know, you got these awesome videos. Like, these look like they cost some money. What's going on? So each one of those videos they had spent 30 grand on. And they were like, dude, nothing ever happened from no one even knows they're on the website, you know? So already this is one way we know, hey, we can't even go in at 10K. Like if they paid 30 for one and we're trying to go in way undercut that, like we're going to set ourselves up on just a much smaller platform than really where we need to be. So already in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, well, we know that 25K package already makes the most sense. Like once again, I only think of two packages, 25K or 10K. This one, I was just like, we're going in at 25. So then it was like, well, what actually makes sense? Do they need 10 videos right now? Because they have some really good content that just kind of needs to be restructured, reworked a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
or do they need traffic? Or do they need a better kind of like funnel setup on their webpage? So when we really started looking into it, like their website was great and their actual kind of like funnel was already in place. So one thing I always look for, guys, if you are looking to run paid ad campaigns for clients, the more established and better their site is getting into things, the easier it's going to be to work with them. Okay. So we knew it was already set up. They had a CRM. It's already linked in HubSpot. Like they have their stuff in place. They're just really struggling letting people know this existed. So instead of just only going in for video content, I thought part of it would make sense to just do the ad setup, be like, hey, let's just get this going up front. We'll implement these videos for you in the funnel. We'll get the tracking and we'll retweak and we'll make sure it's linked to your HubSpot. But like, let's not wait 60 days for the videos to be done. Let's just jump into that now, get all that done. Then when the videos are done, implemented, boom, we're on to phase two, which is a monthly retainer for either ads or ongoing content or both. And they were pretty inclined to do both, which is exciting. So once again, we're going in with a package that made sense for this client based on kind of where we knew they were spending money before. Each product they sell is $4,000. So if they make 2-3 grand on a sale, you know, every month they're going to be making their money back, no problem. And they're trying to sell an extra like 200 units throughout the year. So if we can get 200 units sold for an extra 25 grand, let's say they made 2 grand, 200 units, that's 400,000. As a business owner, would you pay someone 25,000 to get 400,000 back? All day.
The math checks out.
Right. So once again, guys, a lot of times, this is why I say your ideal niche is going to be clients that are already established. They're already doing $1 million a year in business. They have existing people, processes, systems all in place. They have a great product or service. Ideally one that's highly visual because it's easier to film. And then they just need more help getting it out there. So sometimes they take a little bit longer. Like I said, this was a long-term lead, like over 2 years probably, of just every 6 months touch point, see him at a boat show. Last week, knowing we were going into the final call with the CEO, I posted a reel of just like 15K package closed, 3 videos, right? That's my pre-frame. If I knew he was wondering about something else, like in the funnel or whatever, I could make a reel around that if I know he's watching my content online. All of these are little things that just help for that easy yes once you present prices.
Yeah. And that's kind of, I think, again, we talk about Hormozy a lot. If you're here in school, there's a good chance you're familiar with Hormozy. But one of the things that he says is like content nowadays is lead nurture. It's not always just like organic content can be lead gen on the long run, but in the shorter term or overall, it's lead nurture. So it's like if you're connecting with people already, that's such a big advantage, is like the chances they're going to see your stuff, especially if you're posting consistently. Yeah, put out something that is like exactly what Ceebz is saying. It's going to set you up better for the next conversation you're going to have. Be like, oh yeah, I saw that thing that you were posting. They're thinking like, okay, their baseline is at least 15K then going into it, talking about different types of things. It all makes sense. And Ceebz, I know over the span of 2 years, you've touched and went a lot with this company. Like, what was that like in the very beginning? Like, did you just bump into them somewhere? Did you do some outreach? Like, What
Yeah.
was that initial marketing process to like get known by them?
Yeah. So I'm going to pull up a slide deck here, guys, just so we can
Hmm.
have some kind of reference points. Um, but everything I talk about paid ads a lot, but one thing to realize, we really don't ever run paid ads for ourselves. It's mostly all organic. If anything, paid ads is there during key moments when we're looking for that extra support. For instance, when we go to the boat show and we know we're all going to be there and a bunch of clients are going to be there, we heavily target the boat show, drop a couple $100 a day just for that brand recognition, just so when people see us, they're like, oh, dude, I keep seeing your freaking ads popping up. It's like, yeah, bro, like I make the leads come to me, you know? And that's kind of like another, it's like a pre-frame thing.
I
So
was just
when
gonna
we
say,
really
yep.
start talking about marketing, guys, there's two different things here. We have our time methods, we have our money methods. Many people want to jump straight into paid ads and start spending money just to acquire leads, but they don't realize time methods and organic marketing is actually where you start to dial in your messaging. It's where you start to figure out who your audience is, who you're speaking to. The reason, like, why would I offer free coaching calls for people when I'm first launching a program? It's so I can connect with people, get fast feedback, and be able to alter my message, my landing pages, my ads, my headlines, whatever, based on the feedback I'm getting. And it's the same thing with your organic marketing. So if you're creating posts on Instagram, right, you're getting people commenting or whatever, if you get more comments, guess what? People resonated with that content better. Okay. If you get only people commenting, like if I only got my grandma and her, like my grandma's squad of friends commenting on my post, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, love you, grandma, but where the business owners at? I'm probably making the wrong kind of content. I'm not speaking to my ideal client the right way. Whereas now, who am I speaking to with a lot of my content? It's more around business owners. They're trying to scale online. They're trying to figure out how to market themselves, where their ideal niches, best strategies for growth. All of these are going to help me bring in business owners, whether it's for coaching or DNC, which is the production company, if you don't know. Dave, you've been primarily organic as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I was just in the middle of replying back to Chris, who kind of touched on that, and he said, "Look, Gary Vee says this in his new book: put out organic to test, and then the things that run really well, perform well, run those as ads."
Yeah.
And it's kind of this like I look at it as like stages of a rocket, right? Like you want to go out into space, you want to make it to the moon. You've got multiple sequences along the way. It's like the first like blast off sequence right there is like stage one of the rocket. Now, I'm not an astrophysicist or a rocket scientist, so spare me the lesson on the language here, but you got this initial burst to get it off the ground. Then you've got like the stage two rocket that's going to take you out to like orbit, and then you got the thrusters or whatever that are going to take you the rest of the way. So it's like that initial blast off is just organic, organic, organic. Like, yeah, it's going to take more of that time. It's a time method, but it's what you got to do to sort of test that out, to get it off the ground, to start running. And you can keep running that way. Like Ceebz said, like I do primarily organic lead nurturing, the people that are already in my network. It's a lot of time methods. Um, you can once, yeah, I could look back at the, months or years of posts that I've created and the videos that I've posted out, figure out which ones tended to perform really well, got engaged, or engagement a lot, and then turn those into ads and put them into a system. But then that shifts into a money method. That's like the stage two rocket or the thrusters.
There we
So
go.
all along the way, it's not like one is better than the other. It's just where are you at in your blast off right now?
Yeah. So here's what Dave is talking about. This was like, I guess, just at one point, I was like, what is actually performed with my content? Like, do people really like this travel content? Is it this? Is it that? Like, I'm so random. I'm always all over the place when it comes to social. One, I enjoy that because I don't know, it just makes it more fun for me. But when I really started looking at this, being like, okay, this got over 100 shares, 108, 115. What are these about that Antarctica isn't about, or like whatever else? sales and hiring your team. So it started to really let me know, hey, as much as I love creating random fun content, I should probably start talking about business a lot more, because that is what's getting traction. That is what people are engaging with. That is what people are now coming to me for business for. And the last 35K package, it was, Dave, came from one
Mhm.
reel. It came from a
Yeah.
reel where I was just talking about Yeti and
I was gonna
Yeti's
say the Yeti
content
reel, right?
strategy. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
even talking about my strategy. I'm talking about a completely different company and just what they're doing. And
Yep.
it hit home with this CEO. He reached out because he's like, hell yeah, we want to make like fun and quirky content. I was like, absolutely, we're not doing that, but we can create core content assets for you. And that would be a good starting point for you. Next thing you know, was the 35K package that came from one reel. Someone in my audience I didn't even know was a CEO.
Yep. And dude, that's the thing is like with marketing, you never know who exactly you're speaking to or who exactly is watching. Like there are so many ghost metrics that you just can't track because people will watch but never comment. But they're still seeing it. And like that is valuable. The impression that you're making, I mean, the impressions, right? Impressions can be very valuable over time if you stay consistent, because then there's going to be something that sparks and it catches someone's desire for what we do on fire. It's like the straw that breaks the camel's back. You never know which one that's going to be. That's why it can be a long game, but like it works. So like case in point, that one right there. I've had my own
Yep.
situations where the same thing happens. It's just staying visible.
Staying visible. Here's why. A lot of times we're watching the Hermosis of the world being like, oh, that's what I got to do. I got to build an automated funnel, post 350 pieces of content a month. And then next thing you know, I'm having like thousands of leads come in and hundreds of clients every single month. If you guys are just starting in business and that happens, it will be the worst day, week, month of your life, I promise. What we want to do is focus on starting locally, expanding statewide, regional, nationwide, global. Okay. That's how I really want you guys to think about your first clients if you're just getting started, and even your next clients as you level up your skills and your knowledge. Okay. That was a big deal. I didn't realize, as I kept learning more about content strategy and implementation and things I just didn't help my early clients with, I was afraid to go back to them because I was like, dude, I learned all these things. I did a disservice. When I just hit them up to be like, hey, by the way, I would love to just create these thumbnails for you and set this up, no charge. I just realized it should have been something I did. Oh, we've been meaning to reach out. Boom, 5 or 10 grand more. So a lot of
Mhm.
times, start with your past clients, your friends, your family. Talk to everyone you know and let them know you were working with businesses to create strategic video content to attract more clients online. That more or less was my elevator pitch for 8 years.
Yeah. I
As you go ahead, Dave.
I we have a question from Kevin and also something that I wanted to give as like another perspective as an alternate like approach to it, or an alternate perspective. But like Kevin says, are you guys using a CRM to track contacts and sales? Kevin, if you're like early days getting stuff out there, getting clients, it's gonna complicate it, honestly. I'll say that. It's it's too it's too much to worry about the setup because CRMs can be very straightforward or very complex. And that's just a level of complexity that is not needed when you have to like focus on all the other stuff of like getting out there, getting in front of people, having the conversations. It's
Yeah.
like CRMs are there to optimize, but if you over optimize before you have some like a system in place, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah. For me,
From
a
that seat.
CRM really comes in when there's more than one salesperson, because without it, it's like editing. You can just do it all yourself. And when it comes to building a service-based business, typically sales is going to be one of the last things that you step out of. No one is going to be able to close deals as good as you, as the actual founder, the person who's passionate about the company, the one who's like put their heart and soul into all of this and can stand up and say, like, my name's on the line with this, not some Joe Schmo salesperson. Okay.
Mhm.
So typically you'll lose like 20% of sales as you start bringing on salespeople. Just know that from like a numbers perspective. If you're working with clients, they're hiring salespeople, same deal will happen. Um, so my other thing was like, if I have that many people that I can't keep track of, I'm having too many conversations like at once because it's like I would rather just talk to a handful of people until I know they're either interested or not, and then set a time to follow up later. Um, but for me, it was always like this is more energy and effort than me just, oh yeah, I got to hit up so and so. I haven't done that in a while. Hey, what's
Yeah.
happening? You know?
Yeah. And Ceebs, you made a really, really good point the other week about, and for anybody who's watching it, I would highly recommend that you do this rather than like diving fully into a CRM right away. Make your top 25 list and your top 50 list. And
Yep.
it's just the top 25 people that like I know I need to have a conversation with this person or touch base at least once a month because they are a valuable person, whether that is because they're a client or a hot lead or someone who can refer me to other people. And then the top 50 is like, all right, maybe I should touch base with them like every other month or every quarter. Just keep friendly, keep in front of them. But like having that there is manageable. And I really like that. It stuck
Yeah.
out to me. I wish I would have thought of that like years ago.
Yeah, dude. No, it helps simplify things because, you know, online, so many people. But like they're
Mhm.
all like these like not even half like relationships. They're just like they're not real. You know what I mean? It's like they like your photo, they comment here, like even the DMs that come through, it's like it it's not an in-depth relationship where it's like, "Hey, how have you actually been?" You know?
Yeah.
So having that list, and also it's not just for like clients, but also think, guys, if you need to build a team, how can you start plugging yourself into the creative meetups in your area? Maybe there's different like art walks or art shows or photography clinics or whatever it is. That was the other side of it for me. Every month I was going to meetups and working at a co-working spot and just connecting with creators on through Instagram the same way I would with clients because I knew long term I'm going to need to find people to help me with some of this work.
Yeah.
So just like, if 20% of your deals will close and your DMs, same deal with like recruitment and finding good people. Just know like
Yeah.
not everyone's going to work, and the better you can be, like you don't hire people because you're wealthy because you hire people. Like I hire people to buy back my time and be able to then take on that next venture. It doesn't always feel profitable.
Yeah.
Like when you
Yeah.
are scaling, this is your business. You hit these up peaks and then it's like a plateau, sometimes negative.
I was gonna say sometimes it feels like
Yeah. Yeah, you're
you
going
know.
negative because you hit these inefficiencies as you rework new systems, get new people in place. Maybe an editor isn't as good on the first one or two edits, but then they get in their flow, whatever it is. There's always inefficiencies as you scale your team. This is why I think having 3 to 5 clients where you don't need to scale a big team is incredibly important for you guys because you can have one person who can help you with shoots and edits, and you can triple your business just by taking that workload off your plate. And then, okay, cool. One other person to help edit, one other person to help shoot, one other person to help here.
We got a question from Eddie. What's up, Eddie? Appreciate you popping in, man. He said, I've been struggling with the feeling that I might be stealing ideas or work from the people I learn from. I deeply respect and appreciate the content and offerings you provide. How can I ensure that I take inspiration from your work and other online mentors while still creating something unique and original to myself? He continues, how can I achieve this without feeling like it's imposter syndrome? Um, as a creator, how do you perceive the issue? This is good. Do you want people that you coach and mentor to take and run with your ideas almost as a copy paste, or would you see that as disrespectful to your brand and mission? I have a
Good.
big thought. I'm going to pop in real quick.
Yeah.
Eddie, like Steve said, we've been doing this for a while. I like to think that come up with some pretty cool perspectives and unique ideas and ways of branding stuff. I've seen people take inspiration from ideas and run with it. I've seen people literally copy paste like word for word posts I've made. I've seen people rip like literally word for word, image for image, my entire website. I think there's a line, and like it's not so much about us. It's about like what you're putting out there, because steal like an artist, right? Look at what you're learning, and like you're learning that, embrace it, put it out there. That's the simplest way to get started. But don't just like repeat it just for the sake of repeating it. Like repeat it until you understand it, because when you understand it, it's going to take on its own form, and you're going to be able to make it like sound like something that you do. Because it's easy at first just to say like whatever you've heard from somebody else, but then when you start having conversations with people, you need to be able to like communicate it properly to them. So like the video business card, like dude, I didn't create the video business card, but I got a very deep understanding of it, created a lot of like my own frameworks and ways of going about it. Now it's like one of the things that I talk about the most. So it's
Yep.
transformed into something. So I would say steal like an artist, copy stuff just to get started so that you don't have that friction, and don't feel crappy about it, because understand that the goal is for you to be able to make it into your own thing.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, if you're learning to play guitar, the simplest way in my mind is like find a song that you want to learn to play that song. Okay. Now you find the next one. Now you find the next one. Now over time, okay, now you can jam because you started to learn some of these chords from that repetition of recreating exactly what that person did. So I'm with Dave, where any of my content, feel free to just like use that as your inspo. Go take my VB. There's probably literally 30 copies or 40 copies of my VBC out there where it's like the same exact, more or less message, but they recorded it of them. They added their B-roll. They added some tweaks where instead of like travel, it was like, I got started in music videos or doing this or doing that, but that's how I got started. My first 5 videos were just like, all right, I'm going to go online and find 5 videos that other people have done and pretty much just like copy that, make it my own. Did that. Okay. How do I then? Okay, sweet. Now I got a little bit more confidence. Let's do it this way. Now let's do it this way. Then it gets to a point where you've just done it and you're just flowing. Like half the time I'm speaking on a live stream, it's because I've answered the question 20, 30, 40, 50 times before. And I'm just regurgitating something that's like implanted in my brain at this point, So feel free to use others for inspo and find the people that are performing the best and digest what they're doing. Like that's just being smart,
Yeah. Yeah. Run with it until it makes sense to you in a unique way. That's it. Yeah, so that's just an important part of like beginning to market yourself, is like find the three people that like whose styles resonate with you, and just like take it into your own, and it'll become its own thing. Appreciate that. Thanks for the breakdown. Hell yeah, man. And guys, if you're popping in here too, like the benefit of being live, it's like if you're watching the replay, hell yeah, let us know what you like. But if you're live right now, drop some comments, thoughts, questions, ideas. That's what we're here for. We want to be able to make this as useful as possible for you guys. So,
I
Ceebz,
got
you want
some
to,
quick
what you
social
got?
media tips just for
There we
posting,
go.
guys.
Yeah.
Look, first off is we need to talk about creator syndrome because it's the biggest thing that is going to hold you back from 10xing your company, because you are creative and your level of quality is so much higher than a freaking client who has no idea about anything in this world. Okay. I have met 60-year-old real estate agents that are bringing in $500,000 with video just by offering to help someone film on an iPhone, and then they send it to the Philippines to get it subtitled and B-roll added. Okay. So don't fall into creative syndrome. Don't obsess over everything being like absolutely perfect. And then what me and Dave talk about a lot is just don't overcomplicate things. Okay. Document, don't create, right? It's my first posts were not like me clearing a half a day to script, batch record, edit, schedule. Like, No, it was, I'm on set. Oh man, we should market. What should I do? Pull out my phone. Cool. Here's a selfie with a client, on set today, behind the scenes, just filming them, another shoot going down, like fire emoji, whatever. Consistency, I think for most of you guys, just focusing on 2 to 3 times a week is all you need. The more consistent you get, though, the more of a muscle memory it becomes. The easier it becomes every single time you go to post. Don't worry about being famous. Like, you guys can try to get as many followers in the world as you want, or you can just try to help your clients and provide value. The vanity metrics will not make you more money. How do I know? Because I've coached a lot of the people that have the vanity metrics and are like, how are you making way more money than me? Like, dude, even like big DJs are like, oh, dude, we're doing like 30K a month right now. I'm like, oh, sweet. We just did like 90. Like, wait, what? Like, yeah, you played Ultra. No one knows my name. Don't try to be everywhere. Even right now, I'm focusing on getting a new social system in place. YouTube is our only focus. If we are not consistently posting there, I'm not even trying to roll it out to Insta or TikTok or Facebook or anything right now. That's where we get the most traction. That's where I have the most long form content. That's where we're seeing the most sales from both coaching and DNC. And then this is like a gray area. You guys might want to be a little bit edgier, right? Something that's going to grab more people's attention, create conversation. But I really do not recommend going hard on politics, religion, sex, racial topics, anything like that as you guys are trying to build your business. I think that comes longer term when you're really getting into that raving fan base. But in the beginning, guys, it's like, if you're just a hardcore opinionated political person, I don't care what side you're on, I probably don't want to work with you. If you're constantly posting about religion or racial topics, once again, probably not the right fit for me. Okay. So it's just going to weaken your message. Anything to add to that, Dave?
Yeah, I think this is what I was going to bring up before, but it really hammers home here too with the, don't overcomplicate it and don't try to be famous. I spent a lot of time working with bands and musicians before I dove into video and media and everything like that. That was my kind of pivot into the industry. And the thing with bands is you don't just go national right away. You don't try and hit everybody. The way that you build a following and a fan base is you start hyper local. You play your local bar, and then you get people to come out and love the band. I mean, granted, with TikTok nowadays, it's kind of like you can go viral and people blow up, but then you're a one-hit wonder. The way to really get that momentum behind you and to build sustainable traction is you start connecting with people. Like, you post something out, you put a song out, you connect one-on-one, then you go to regional and you start playing weekenders, and then like, cool, we know people now in the next town over, the next state over. And then when you've got enough of that, you connect with another band who has that, and you start going national. So it's really just like building this momentum, but you're only ever trying to get like the raving fan. Because if you just get people who are like, you blow up on TikTok, they listen to one song and that's it, and you're forgotten about, you're going to burn out. You're never going to become anything. But if you get, 100 raving fans who go to every show, who buy every piece of merch and everything like that, all of a sudden you're doing way better than the people who just had like a viral hit. So it's just kind of like focus on the next step that's going to lay the foundation.
Yeah, 100%. I think even for me, guys, with this community, like a month ago, we're like, hey, we've hit 200 members. Oh, by the way, shut down again. That's like the 4th time I've rebuilt the community from scratch. And I forgot who it was, but someone was like, dude, wherever you go to, like, I'm along for the ride right now. And that was like the most flattering thing for me, because I was like, dude, people will actually move from platform to platform with us. Like, think about that in terms of like the actual power of your community, and like what you're providing. Like, if you're able to do that or help clients do that, like, all the better. So the more you just help people, this is why I always say, like, help someone, just genuinely go in to help them see it, help them understand it, show them what they could do. Oh, by the way, I can help you with that. Yes. If not, no worries, that has always turned around in goodwill for me, whether it is because I figured it out with that client and all of a sudden a couple months later, that almost very similar client pops up. I'm like, dude, I'm a pro at this. And the confidence is
Yep.
there. Or it is a long term where you got to wait a little bit longer, but it comes back around. And now it's like, sweet, we got an extra, $8,000 coming in every month now, where
Yeah.
the majority of the work's going to get done for like 2,500.
I want you guys who are watching this to understand that people throw around the word marketing. Like marketing is this just all encompassing umbrella term now, right? But to really boil it down to the simplest level here, if there's one thing that you like take away and start putting into action, it's that marketing is just people knowing about you and having a positive thought in your mind. It's like brand. It's like
Yeah.
what do people think of you when they hear your name and you're not in the room? What do they say about you when you leave?
Oh gosh, I don't
It's
know,
if you
honestly.
uh, fingers crossed,
Oh, Dave,
fingers
you want to know
crossed
how
for
much
good
of a
things.
freak I am?
Yeah,
So, a lot
I
of,
guess.
well, more people know Sam Ovens now, but I went
Mhm.
through Consulting Accelerator in 2018. It was actually before I went through Next Level Creators. And then I was like, dude, this is too far ahead. Like it was trying to get me to do all the things, but it wasn't teaching me in terms of like, you're a videographer, do this.
Mhm.
Um, it was like, so let's say you teach people how to stargaze. I'm like, what the fuck? No. Okay, this ain't.
Okay.
We're not there yet. What? We got to jump back a level. So, anyways, I forgot where I was going with this story completely. What were we talking about?
It's what,
Oh,
it's
so
what
at
people
one
say when you
point,
leave the.
I was going through like the mindset modules, and it was like survey, 20 people that know you, and like, what do they actually think about you compared to what you think about yourself? It's like, that is really weird to do. Sure enough, created a survey, blasted like my 20 friends of just like, hey, this is weird, but I need your guys' feedback. Like, I'm really working on myself, trying to get clear on like my strengths, my weaknesses. Like, if you can fill this out, I'd appreciate it. And some of the responses like kind of sucked, honestly.
Well, let
But
me
it
ask you this, dude. What did it do for you?
it just gave me clarity. It was like, I remember one friend was just like, you're just always talking about business, and it just always like, that's all that matters, it seems like, which was true. It was 1,000% true at the time. I was like, I don't care about the things that you care about right now, dude. You're trying to settle down, raise your family, do this. You've been working in the corporate world for 8 years already. Like, you're just climbing the ladder. Like I can tell you how the next 20 years of your life will play out with that role. And at one point, I felt my life was in that kind of same thing when I was at the dealership, in relationship, like marriage was the next step, then kids, the house, mortgage. I'm like, is this what I'm doing? Like, before I even know what I'm doing in life, we're just like, that's my main priority. And it really shifted to where I wanted my goals to be my priority, and my life and me figuring out my freedom. That was 10 times more important to me in the long run than like, oh, I have to find this perfect relationship and settle down and like get a mortgage. Like, I never
Yeah, yeah.
had interest in that.
And
So
how did getting that feedback from people, did that like change the direction or change the way that you like spoke or acted, or did it confirm to you like double down on what I'm doing?
no,
Because I'm
dude,
sure
overall,
the
like,
people here could do the same thing and it might be like abrasive at first, but there's like a lesson there.
yeah, overall, it gave me confidence. A lot of my friends
Mhm.
had incredible things to say. Certain things that I never really deemed myself like as like qualities of myself. Like, you would see the patterns across multiple people being like, hey, we really respect like the way you do this, or how you literally will always be there if I know you, if I need you. So there's a lot of good feedback that I did get. And I think just the practice of doing something that you're uncomfortable with. Like, if I couldn't do it with friends, how am I gonna start like like the amount of impressions we get on ads, guys, it's in the millions. And every day I log on Insta, there's one or two comments where it's like, you're a douchebag. You know, I knew that early on, if I could not get out of my own way and push myself in some of those areas where I really felt fear. Like, At one point, if you go watch my YouTube videos, you'll see I have this ridiculous mullet. Like I was pumping out content during COVID with like the grossest mullet ever. And part of it was because I was like, I am so uncomfortable doing this. But if I am good because I'm pushing myself and like, who gives a fuck about that person who's randomly watching online? Am I really going to let them stop me from everything I wanted
Yeah.
to accomplish?
Yeah. And I want to put this out there to speak to really everybody who's especially live here right now, but like Eddie in particular, because Eddie, you stepped up and dropped that comment, which is like awesome. I really appreciate you just like putting it out there. Um, man, there's always if there's something holding you back, there's always like probably one person that comes to mind of like, oh, what is this person gonna think? Right? The sooner that you can
Block them.
pinpoint who that is and just understand that like, oh, that actually doesn't matter. It's like, are you gonna hold back putting yourself out there and all the opportunity that comes with that just because of like what one person might think? I wouldn't. Like that would suck. And I may be just like taking a best educated guess at like where you're at right now. But to anybody who's watching, it's like, look, do the uncomfortable shit, but take baby steps with it. It's like you don't need
Yeah.
to, like Ceebz said, if you day one start know that a million people are going to see your thing in a month and they're going to like be shit talkers. Yeah, that's probably overwhelming as hell. But if you're
Yeah.
like, let me put this out in front of my friends and all I might have to deal with is like a goofy comment from one of them, that's manageable. That's manageable.
Dave, this is like when we're talking about baby steps. So I'll really share with you guys the baby steps of me getting comfortable on camera. Because a lot of times you hear, I'm not you, I'm not this, I'm not that. Okay. What got me to start posting myself on camera was every creator that I was connecting with on Instagram. Like I found sweet photos, but I didn't know who these people were. You would never find a photo of the photographer behind the photos. And it was always this like huge mystery. And even when they did sunrise, sunset, it was like the camera, but you're just getting the behind the scenes. So I remember my first like attempt at, I was filming just sunrise, learning how to use the camera. And I remember just filming the camera, like, oh, this is sick. And I turn it around and I'm like, whoa, you know? And dude, posted it. 45 minutes later, I deleted it. And in a panic. I'm like, dude, I look like an idiot. Oh my God, delete, delete, delete. And then like, okay, let's do it again. 3 days later, did it again. Like, I think I, that time made it the whole time, like didn't die. I was like, well, we can
Yeah.
start doing it. So like the next time I said 2 words and it was so uncomfortable. And I'm like, oh, I sound weird. I look weird. I hate everything. Once again, just blast it, post it, get it out there. If you
Yep.
guys weren't here for the live stream last week, eventually you start getting messages back. And one of those just completely transformed everything. I got one message from someone where, once again, I'm only getting 100 views. No one's watching this stuff. I have incredible imposter syndrome. Someone messages me and just completely transformed the way I thought about my content. So now I'm not making the content for the general masses. I'm making the content because I had a conversation with Dave, and Dave says, hey, the community is struggling to understand your sales process. That's the video I go make. Or I have a conversation with Joe, and Joe's like, but dude, I don't understand where you find clients. If you were first getting started, what would you do? And I'm like, "Boo, if I was first getting started finding clients, here's what I do. You know, I'm
Yep.
using that as the inspo and that one or two people versus like, how do I go viral and just talk about and do what everyone
Yeah.
else is doing?"
I actually when I first started recording like batch content, I started having this like way that I would talk where it felt very not scripted, but it felt like I was presenting, and I felt really good. And I'm putting out the videos, and I was still in my like networking group at the time, in person. And I went there one of the weeks, and there was one lady that I had like become friends with and like through business and everything. And her name was Liz. And Liz comes up to me and she's like, I'm loving the videos you're putting out. I'm like, oh, thanks, Liz. That's awesome. She's like, it's just funny. You sound so different when you're talking there. Like you sound so like buttoned up and like professional. I'm like, fuck, really? Like, that's not my goal. So then when I went back and I would start recording new batches, I would look at the camera and like force myself to put myself in the headspace that I was talking specifically to Liz. And I would, so much so that I would in my head like hear her asking me a question, because again, I'd see her like every week at these meetings, and she would ask me video questions. I would imagine her asking me the question of whatever it was I wanted to talk about. And then I would just force myself to answer as if I was talking to Liz. So I would speak specifically to her. And it's not like, so here's here's the top 3 ways that you can improve your content online. Like that sounds like bullshit. Right. And I know you're going to get people that like post that out, but I would just go like, Liz asked me, what's like an easy way that I could actually just start getting some videos with my phone? And I'm like, look, honestly, like the best way that you can just start getting videos with your phone is just understand that everything is like a content opportunity. And then I would just talk, and it sounded so much more real, and the content started doing better.
Yeah.
Because people are like, oh, that's what he's like. So my advice,
it's the same way we run interviews with
clients. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's my organic and natural. I bring it up all the time when me and you used to do that. When I first started coaching, I think my computer's, my camera's gonna die.
Oh, I was gonna say, you're still here.
I don't know. Oh, there we go.
Ah, there it is.
We'll get the system dialed eventually, y'all.
Yeah.
So when I first started coaching, I would just get some mastermind members to just jump on. I'm like, hey, do you want to just, are you curious about like all that random stuff about my backstory? You want to just jump on Riverside one day? You could just interview me. Boom, 20 reels, you know? So if you guys have curious clients, hey, just curious, you want to jump on one day, do like consulting. All I really want to do is record it, maybe be able to get some content for it. If you have anything good, I'm happy to like cut together a reel or 2 for you as well, just for, you know, your time. It's a podcast outreach method. That's what I do now. Instead of being like, hey, let's get together to talk about business. Hey, you want to be on the podcast?
Yeah. And honestly, that's like, it gives you a reason to reach out to people too, which is, it just makes it like one less piece of friction here. You know, I have a buddy on LinkedIn, and I think he might actually be in the group here. But I have a buddy on LinkedIn who he's like, all right, I'm making a point. I'm going to like start developing my personal brand. And he's just posting video contents all the time. It's literally just like his camera, just like on the desk as he's doing stuff on the computer or like talking to someone. I don't know if he's actually talking to someone or not, but it's like the barrier to entry is so low because it's just like, let's just get me talking about the stuff that I do and then caption it. And so it doesn't have to be hard. We got a comment from Tyson. He says, I put up a weekly video podcast for a few years to get familiar being in front of camera. One day I met a viewer on the street. He told me that he and a bunch of his buddies watch my stuff, and they all notice I never blink in my videos. But dude, like how cool is that they watch and that they notice that, you know? I think that, and Tyson, I was actually, when I saw, you know, your name in here, you and Chris came to mind of like, I know that you guys put yourself in front of the camera and post yourself out there. And I think that's such a huge thing, is like just getting comfortable being in front of the camera, especially you do video and you're not used to being on the other end of it. One of the other things that I recommend to especially clients who have not been on camera before, like a lot of realtors want to develop the personal brand, but they're like not comfortable yet. I tell them like, look, pull out your phone and just video journal. There's 3 steps. It's video journaling, then posting stories, then posting content. And it just goes from like private. You never need to post it out there if you don't want to. You just speak your mind freely with no structure. A story, then it's a little bit shorter and it's up there for 24 hours. That's it. You can commit to that. And then then you post, and then you create content. You post it out there and it stays. But it's like baby steps.
I was going to say the other thing that really helped me was just vlogging, and like it was so bad in the beginning, but it helped me get better at not only being on camera, but like helping others be on camera. To where just like as they were saying things, I could help them reframe it, restructure it, whatever that was. So there were endless amounts of early vlogs, early videos like that the world has never seen, nor will they ever. And there's even more, just like there's so much stuff, guys, that like, once again, worst case scenario, like you take it down. doesn't perform. Like I had a bunch of those on my channel, YouTube. Guess what finally got traction? All the ones that were causing me stress being like, dude, that one only got 100 views, but Maldives is at like 9K. No one cares about the business side. We need more travel videos. Then we started to get that traction on just those. And that is what is just like an uptick right now. So where do you think we're focused all our energy, right? So cool. We got a couple minutes here. You guys got any last questions? Anything we can assist with? Be sure to drop them in the chat there.
Yeah.
Announcements real quick. So moving into August, we're back to our regular schedule. Just we only have this one call a week. If you guys are in the free group, mastermind members, we still have our Thursday call at 6, where me and Dave are gonna keep running through stuff. Dave has a bunch of amazing actually stuff lined up for y'all in August, which is sweet. For everyone else, we'll let you know when it's reopened. Dave, any announcements on your end?
Yeah. Well, like you said, got a lot of really cool stuff planned. Gonna be kicking back in with brand story breakdowns. So I did, Chris's, and that'll be something that's gonna kind of kick back up to at least some degree here. And then if you are mastermind, give you a little bit of a sneak peek, we're talking about marketing, we're talking about content here, we're talking about getting on and having somebody ask you questions. That's one of the things in the grab bag that I've kind of got queued up, so to speak, is content sessions. I posted about it a while ago. So if you are catching this right now, mastermind, or if it's something that you're like, oh, that sounds interesting, that's got a lot of plans kind of mapped out for that with the system that I use for clients too and for myself. So keep an eye out for that. Other than that, yeah,
Keep
just
sharing your wins.
keep
Any
posting up
deals
what's
closed? I haven't seen any deals closed lately, y'all. Get
yeah,
on it.
guys. That's the thing. It's rising tide lifts all ships. Whatever you've got going on. I made a post the other week, like write down the 3 things you want to get done in the day. Write down the 3 wins that you had in the day when it's time to wind down. So even if it's not a deal closed, post your wins. Post some things that like put the wind in your sails that are making you feel good. Even if it's just you popped onto this live stream and you're like, this really stuck out to me and I'm putting it into play for myself. Like, let's get that going, because the more we show up and talk about it with other people that are in the same boat, the more it fires us up to keep doing it.
Yeah. As they say in the old country, let's give them something to talk about, Dave.
I've heard them say I have heard them say that in the old country every time I visit. So
Yeah, me too. Cool, guys.
hell yeah.
So on that note, looks like we are winding down. Awesome. So we'll see you guys around on school. Be sure to keep dropping your questions, sharing your wins, and we'll see you next week, Tuesday or Wednesday, 2 o'clock Eastern. See y'all. Peace.